With celebrities being constantly in the spotlight, they have to proceed with extreme caution every time that they leave the house. From Cardi B exposing herself on Instagram to Zac Efron dropping his protection on the red carpet. Today we'll be counting down some of the most embarrassing celebrity moments ever. Welcome to Top 10 Beyond the Screen. I'm your host Johnny Rogers, and before we kick this video off, if you want to see more videos about what your favorite celebrity's been up to lately, just tap that playlist in the corner of your screen. Also, if you want to get notified whenever we post new content, you gotta be a subscriber, so hit that subscribe button as well. Now, thank you for the delay. Let's get right into today's list, the top 10 most embarrassing celebrity moments. In at number 10, Christian Bale. When that tape leaked of Christian Bale going absolutely nuts, not only did he have to go on a press tour for his new movie, but an apology tour as well. That Christian Bale rant had so many expletives in it, I'm almost certain we're not going to be able to use the clip. While filming the Terminator Salvation, a crew member had accidentally walked onto the set, interrupting Bale while he was acting. This sent the celebrity into a downward spiral of anger where the F word suddenly became punctuation for his sentences. He nearly stopped all production on the movie just so he could release his frustrations on that hard-working film crew. We get that some acting requires intense focus, but regardless, if someone breaks that focus, it doesn't give the actor free license to scream at others.
Nothing I can say about that I haven't said already, and you know, I have never tried to make any excuses for it. It was unacceptable, and I take it, you know, it's my fault. That's it.
In at number 9, Jennifer Lawrence. Now let's shift to one that's a little more funny than sad, because most times celebrities do something embarrassing, it's not very pretty. Jennifer Lawrence had just won an Oscar for The Silver Linings Playbook and was playing it pretty cool during her interviews, all things considered, when all of a sudden legendary actor Jack Nicholson decided to surprise her. Jennifer did her very best to keep her cool, however the moment that he left she completely lost it, but for the most part J-Law did a great job of just, you know, joking around with him. She did wait until Jack left and then just dropped her calm and collected persona.
I loved all your movies. Oh really? Do I look like a new girl, bro?
I thought about it.
The best part is that after she thought he walked away, Jack came back with sunglasses on and scared her again. I think I would have also had a panic attack if Jack Nicholson just appeared beside me. Would have been very embarrassing to catch on camera. So we can't blame her for that. In number 8, Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson seems to be really enjoying his retirement for the time being, although it was while spending time with his family and having his daughter record him that we got to witness one of the best celebrity fails ever. What was meant to be a fun ride around his house turned into a viral video that made Mike the talk of the town all over again. At least he was able to laugh at himself and not get mad at his daughter for filming it all. Mike Tyson is so humble now that he even posted the video after he recovered from that nasty fall. Turns out the only person that could knock down Tyson was a hoverboard, and it did it within a couple of seconds. New record. In at number 7, Zac Efron. While at the premiere for the movie The Lorax, Zac was doing his thing walking the red carpet and snapping some photos where necessary. At some point, a red carpet assistant calls him over and he begins reaching into his pocket for something. I don't know if she wanted a pen or what, but he dives into his pocket, and as he pulls out whatever he gave her, a condom drops onto the ground. Now obviously all eyes were on Zac because of the nature of the red carpet, but he acted swiftly. He immediately swooped down and threw it into his back pocket and then did not address anyone asking him what had fallen out. Although the video has been watched so many times that this embarrassing moment was certainly seen by everyone. He later addressed it on a talk show and said that he has now implemented a pocket check before walking down the red carpet. Probably a good idea. In at number 6, Julianne Hough. While Julianne Hough was attending the Casamigos Tequila Halloween party, she stepped out of her ride along with some friends dressed as the cast of Orange is the New Black. The main issue with this is that Julianne was dressed as the character called Crazy Eyes, played by actress Uzo Aduba. Along with that, she wore a full-on blackface instead of, you know, not doing that and maybe just doing her hair similar. I just don't get the desire to paint your face another race, even if it's for a Halloween costume. It just feels really gross. Although because Julianne is adored in Hollywood, she felt almost zero backlash from her peers, including the actress she impersonated. In response to the backlash online she received, Hough took to Twitter and said, "I am a huge fan of the show Orange is the New Black, actress Uzo Aduba, and the character she has created. It certainly was never my intention to be disrespectful or demeaning to anyone in any way. I realize my costume hurt and offended people, and I truly apologize." That's all well and good, but it's still a very embarrassing celebrity moment. In number 5, James Franco. The dangerous thing with James Franco interacting with his fans is that he realizes just how famous he is and therefore believes that he can get away with a lot of terrible stuff. For example, the time that he decided to slide into the DMs of a fan that was underage. A girl from a small Scottish town was on a trip to New York City when she ended up getting to meet Franco at his Broadway show called Of Mice and Men. After tagging him in an Instagram video that is no longer available, James began flirting with her through the app. Lucy didn't believe that it was actually James Franco, so she inquired about proving his identity, which he did with no issue. He was very aggressive with trying to get his fan into his bed though, which really changes the way that you look at him. I mean, asking if he should get a hotel room right after asking if she was single is just a little fast, you know? Then to see her tell him that she would come back to NYC when she turned 18 only made him persist, which was even more gross and proved that he had really crossed the line in this very embarrassing moment. In number 4, Jussie Smollett. The former star of Empire, Jussie Smollett, got himself into some real trouble with Chicago police after he faked a racial attack on himself. At midnight on January 29, 2019, Smollett said that he was attacked on a Chicago street outside of his hotel room. According to the report, he told the police that 2 white men in ski masks yelled racist and homophobic slurs at him as they tied a rope around his neck, poured bleach on him, and yelled, "This is MAGA country." Now, these are serious allegations, and the entire internet was furious, with many calling it a modern-day lynching. Later on, investigators found 2 potential suspects. Although the brothers were initially suspects, they told investigators that Mr. Smollett had coordinated a fake attack and paid them to participate in it. A far stretch from the 2 white MAGA hat-wearing men that Jussie had described. Although even though he filed a false police report and then lied under oath, Jussie skated by without any criminal charges. This is still a developing case, but we're assuming the Chicago PD isn't going to let him get away with this. Jussie was recently indicted on 6 new charges which allege that the actor planned and participated in the staging of a hate crime against himself. In number 3, Donald Trump. Donald Trump is well known at this point for flying off the handle on his Twitter account. Much like Lil Jon, he loves him some all caps tweets. This tweet in particular though is embarrassing for a whole host of other reasons. On May 5th, 2016, Trump tweeted out, "Happy Cinco de Mayo, the best taco bowls are made in Trump Tower. Grill, I love Hispanics." There is so much to unpack in what is possibly considered his most famous tweet. First of all, his policies definitely do not reflect that he loves Hispanics. Secondly, people did some research and apparently Trump Tower Grill didn't even sell taco bowls at the time that he made the tweet. So you can just imagine how staged this really had to be. Then on his desk you can see a photo of his ex-wife Marla Maples from what appears to be an old bikini contest. The photo also prompted a lot of people to start wondering if Trump was addicted to the methamphetamine drug called Sudafed, because as you can see in his open drawer there are a few boxes that are stacked up there. This claim was later confirmed to be false upon further investigation that revealed the box said Sudafed's mucus relief day and night. So that would suggest that he kept it in case he got sick, I guess. That did not stop the internet though from making its wild claims, and still to this day it's a bit of a conspiracy theory as to whether or not the president is all hopped up on pills. I mean, if his Twitter account is any indication of his mental state, I'd say he's on something. In number 2, Charlie Sheen. While attempting to help out Justin Bieber, Charlie Sheen thought that he was sending out a private message on Twitter. However, instead he tweeted out his phone number to his 5 million plus followers. He simply said, "Call me, bro." I mean, who knew the king of Tiger Blood and Bieber were so close? I'm sure that number is disconnected now, but can you even imagine the volume of phone calls and text messages that he was getting? If he was using an iPhone, it probably caught fire. I mean, we're talking thousands of texts and calls at least. It's embarrassing and really shows his age. Last but certainly not least on our number 1 spot, Cardi B. While it was quite the surprise for everyone, including Cardi B, I'm assuming by now you are aware that after Cardi's birthday bash where she reunited with Offset, she also accidentally uploaded something to her Instagram stories that should not have been there. During an Instagram live, Cardi explained to her fans exactly how that happened. She was laying in bed with Offset and decided to take a photo of them together, but unfortunately the pic snapped and then immediately was sent off into the ether of the internet for all to see. It was embarrassing, and by the time that she had turned her phone back on to delete it, everyone and their mother had already witnessed all that is Cardi B. She also got dragged through the mud for doing this, but honestly we should just leave her alone. It was a mistake and a very embarrassing one at that, so the best thing we can do is just respect her privacy. Coming in at number 10, Snooki. Nicole, also known by her reality show nickname Snooki, began appearing as a main character for the show Jersey Shore back in 2009. This is where the name Snooki really stuck and her popularity began to rise. The New York Times even referred to her as the breakout member of the cast. Now at 32 years old, the New Jersey native has come a long way from her drunken outbursts on the Jersey Shore. Although the reason I bring her up for this list is to remember that very embarrassing episode of her being arrested on the beach. In 2010, Nicole was acting in a disorderly manner while on the beach as reported by the Seaside Heights police chief. It was brutal to watch on that episode as well, just seeing her falling over drunk and no one around even trying to help her. I don't know what's more embarrassing though, the fact that she passed out drunk on a beach or the fact that it was all captured on camera. And before we move on to our next point, I need you guys to hit that like button because it really helps us out. Coming in at number 9, John Travolta. Back in 2014, actor John Travolta famously mispronounced Idina Menzel's name while introducing her at the Oscars.
Please welcome the wickedly talented one and only Adele Dazeem.
John would later appear on Jimmy Kimmel's show to explain why exactly he called the Let It Go singer Adele Dazeem. When reflecting on the incident, John had this to say. "The truth is, I was expected backstage and it was getting very close to the time I was supposed to go on, and suddenly a page, an assistant to you, grabbed me and said, 'You're on in a minute.' I was like, 'What happened to 15 minutes? And they didn't explain. Later I found out my actual page got stuck in an elevator and couldn't communicate to anybody, so the backup came to get me." He then goes on to blame Goldie Hawn for distracting him backstage with her beauty, and then he shifts the blame to an assistant who said that they were changing Adina's name to phonetic spelling, although the pronunciation was never explained to him, and thus he was rushed out onto the stage, and we got this very embarrassing celebrity moment. In at number 8, Kanye West. Even though it's been more than a decade, Kanye continues to shade Taylor along with his wife Kim doing illegal things like releasing phone call conversations without the other person's consent. That was a mouthful. Now this story has gotten even crazier though, with Kanye actually claiming that God told him to interrupt Taylor Swift. Very embarrassing. To refresh your memory of the event, allow me to cover some of the key details. The bizarre interaction took place at the start of the night when a 19-year-old Taylor Swift was accepting the award for Best Female Video. However, as she was giving her acceptance speech, we all watched a drunken Kanye run onto the stage. He then proceeded to grab the microphone from Taylor and said,
"Yo, Taylor, I'm really happy for you. I'm gonna let you finish, but Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time."
In at number 7, Ashlee Simpson. This video still gives me secondhand embarrassment. In the video you can see all this confusion when Ashlee realizes that the track started playing before she even had the microphone up to her face, so she just awkwardly dances instead. Maybe that's where the Fortnite Take the L dance came from. At that point, you can't even really salvage the performance. I mean, it's called Saturday Night Live for a reason. So she just did her little dance, said that she was sorry, blamed it on her band for playing the wrong song, and then it was all quick cut to commercial from there. During an interview several years later, she was asked about this, and here's what Ashlee had to say.
What happened there was I had a vocal problem. I had two nodes beating against each other, and I woke up and I had no voice. And then I should have said, no, I will not go on. I will not do this. And
in at number 6, Rita Ora. Aside from being a talented musical act, Rita has also acted in some pretty big films. She was in 50 Shades of Grey and even appeared in Pokemon Detective Pikachu. Here's where she got caught doing something very embarrassing though. She posted this tweet that said, "Dropping my new song Monday if this gets 100,000 retweets." And it got way less than that, which then resulted in this drastic narrative change. She then tweeted, "By the way, my Twitter got hacked. Somebody is threatening to release new music I've worked really hard on. Nothing comes out until I'm ready." Funny enough, that tweet had more retweets than her previous one, but again, nothing even close to 100,000 retweets. So she was dreaming. And by the way, she has 6.8 million followers, so embarrassing bots too. In at number 5, Justin Timberlake. Way back in 2003, Justin Timberlake was best known as a member of the boy band NSYNC, although even JT was not safe from Ashton Kutcher's prank show called Punk that aired on MTV. In this embarrassing celebrity moment, we have Justin Timberlake absolutely losing his mind as he comes home to find that his entire home is being repossessed by the IRS. Timberlake then begins to cry and go a little bit crazy, but there was a reason for that. During an interview that he did with Playboy magazine, Justin explained why that incident was so embarrassing for him. In the interview he said, "I actually stopped smoking pot for 9 to 10 months after Punk'd. I was so stoned. If you ask my friends if they're honest, they would probably say that that's the only way to get me as dizzy as I was." What you didn't see from that episode, because it was 45-minute affair cut down to 10 minutes, was me showing up and being like, "What the f are you people doing on my property? Get the f off my property, get the f out of here." Then they started rattling off my parents' address and I was like, holy sh*, hold on a second. I mean, everybody was got good on that show, me probably the best. Definitely the best. In at number 4, Fergie. Sometimes we have to go pee so bad that we just can't hold it, and it turns out Fergie couldn't hold her bladder better than anyone else could in this situation. At a 2005 concert, Fergie had a very embarrassing moment where a bit of fluid began to appear on the front of her pants. The suspicious stain was originally scoffed off as nothing but sweat, but as the years went on, Fergie ended up admitting that she did in fact wet herself. During an interview that she did with Blender, Fergie said, "It was horrible, but whatever, it happened." She then found herself revisiting the infamous situation again on Hot 97's morning radio, where she said that it was a combination of a full bladder and being rushed onto the stage. To quote Fergie again, she said, "I'm running on and we jump and do Let's Get It Started, and I get crazy and I jump and I run across the stage and my adrenaline was going, and gosh, I wish it didn't happen. It was so embarrassing." In at number 3, Aubrey Plaza. Typically when you get a couple of comedic actors together like Will Ferrell and Aubrey Plaza, you would think the end result would be funny. Unfortunately, no one found this embarrassing stunt funny, and instead Aubrey was unceremoniously escorted out of the building. At the MTV Movie Awards in 2013, a barefoot Aubrey Plaza ran onto the stage in an attempt to pry away the Golden Popcorn Award from Will Ferrell. The moment appeared to be a failed attempt to mock the great Kanye West interruption from the 2009 VMAs. Will still tried to play it off and joke that the bit was staged, but according to MTV, Miss Plaza was taken out of the award show by network executives and even had the head of Viacom security scolding her. It was not a good look and overall a terrible idea with poor execution. In at number 2, Justin Bieber. Back in 2012, Justin Bieber had a terrible incident on stage the very first night that he started his world tour. He didn't throw up once, he threw up twice all over center stage right before running to the back mid-performance. According to Bieber, he blamed the embarrassing accident on drinking too much milk before the concert. Justin did end up returning, but this time announced to the crowd that he was going to slow things down a bit because the pyrotechnics in his stomach were acting up. When Bieber took to the stage again, he told his fans that the rest of the performance was going to be hard for him because he wasn't feeling great after throwing up in front of a bunch of people. He then asked them if they will still love him even though he just literally puked on the stage, and the crowd that night replied with a resounding shriek of approval. Last but certainly least at our number 1 spot, Robin Thicke. This one is next level embarrassing for just everyone involved. His summer smash called Blurred Lines certainly started to explain his real life. Robin was happily married to wife Paula Patton, for whom he shares a son with. However, in 2013 he threw his entire marriage under the bus as a photo emerged of the singer getting a little too personal with a female fan, who was later identified as socialite Lana Scolaro. In the photo taken, you can see that the mirror behind Lana and Robin catches him with his hand going right up her dress. The photo appeared to have been taken at an MTV VMA after party in New York City, which also just so happened to be the night that Robin had done his controversial performance with Miley Cyrus. So you know when he got home that night he had a lot of apologizing to do. In at number 10, Travis Scott. This one was hard to watch go down, especially when you take into consideration how much Travis Scott probably spent on his custom Halloween costume. It definitely wasn't the worst Halloween costume in the world, but Trav still felt the heat online. Fans and followers began to make fun of him relentlessly, and the bullying got so bad that he even ended up deleting his entire Instagram page. Although he never provided a statement about being publicly shamed, it was assumed his Instagram deactivation was a result of the teasing. One user tweeted, "Travis Scott is drowning in millions of dollars right now and he couldn't get a good Batman costume? Shaking my head." Although many people ridiculed those teasing Travis and accused them of jealousy, they also made a very valid point when they said that his silly Batman costume is probably worth more than their house, which, yeah, probably is. Ooh, also real quick before we hit our next point, I need you guys to hit that like button because it really helps us out. And with that out of the way, let's just get right back to it. In at number 9, Will Smith. When Jada Pinkett Smith confirmed that she was romantically involved with singer August Alsina during an episode of her Facebook watch show called Red Table Talk, she spoke openly about it while sitting across from her husband Will Smith.
You giving permission, which is, you know, the only person that can give permission in that particular circumstance is myself.
Yes.
The thing that really baffled people was that she did this with her son's friend. You know, Jaden is the one that introduced August to the house, and then he went and got himself entangled with his buddy's mom. I mean, come on, man, that's greasy. During the one-on-one interview with Will, Jada explained that her and August had become good friends, but I guess he missed the memo on keeping things hush-hush. August came out and claimed that he and Jada had started a relationship while she was married, and Will had given them permission, which was completely false and only blew this thing up in the press even more. The couple also revealed in their conversation that they had briefly separated when Jada began seeing August, but with that behind them, they are apparently now committed to one another. Even so, this remains a very embarrassing video for Will Smith. Coming in at number 8, Hugh Grant. While some accents may sound charming, Hugh Grant's personality canceled out any of that for Jon Stewart at The Daily Show. After appearing on the show, Jon Stewart said that he was banning Grant for being a big pain in the ass. Stewart saying that he would never grant him permission back on the show, pun intended. During an onstage Q&A, John remarked that they had dictators on the show, but Hugh Grant was still his least favorite guest. Yikes. Apparently Hugh spent most of the day just complaining that he had to be there, and even flat out said that he had better things to do, for which the staff of The Daily Show didn't really care to hear, nor did Stewart. So thanks to his high maintenance attitude, he was banned from the show with zero apologies, and I gotta say, that's pretty embarrassing. Coming in at number 7, Kevin Hart. This entire cheating scandal with Kevin Hart was recently covered on his new docuseries on Netflix, where he fully details what went down that night in Las Vegas. The show even interviews his wife Aniko as she emotionally recaps when she saw the video and how it made her feel. While Kevin was with a friend in Vegas, he cheated on his wife, and then his own friend was the one that set him up. Yes, Kevin did do this to himself and he takes full responsibility for his mistakes, but can you imagine your own friend trying to blackmail you like that? The woman sent his wife the video, and then later on the pair decided that they were going to use it as leverage to get Kevin to pay them $60 million. Instead, that man went to jail for an attempted extortion, and Aniko and Kevin seem stronger than ever, but still, it's a very embarrassing moment for Kevin that he had to really live while he was out touring, while he was filming movies. It was a mess. Coming in at number 6, Alec Baldwin. Yes, that is just the end bit of a string of harassing voicemails that Alec Baldwin would leave his daughter. More concerning is that she was 12 years old at the time. He actually called her a rude, thoughtless little pig. Why, you ask? Well, because she forgot to take his call at the time that they had agreed upon. Look, I get if you're concerned for her safety and that's why you need the calls to check in, but she's 12, dude. You don't scream at a kid like that. You shouldn't scream at anyone like that. Alec took a ton of heat for this to the point where he even contemplated suicide. Instead, he wrote a book called A Promise to Ourselves, A Journey Through Fatherhood and Divorce. The book detailed his long divorce that involved 90 court proceedings and $3 million in legal fees, as well as the alienation that he felt from his daughter after everything that had happened. Luckily, years later, his daughter Ireland was able to roast her dad on Comedy Central, although being embarrassed in public hardly seems like a sufficient punishment for the childhood trauma that he caused his daughter, but you be the judge. Coming in at number 5, Nate Robinson.
Mamma mia, the problem child proving to be a big problem for Nate.
Man, I guarantee you that when former NBA player Nate Robinson stepped into the ring with YouTuber Jake Paul, he did not think that he was going to become a viral meme for weeks. For the most part, Nate looked very untrained and was just throwing punches wildly throughout the fight. Jake then knocked Robinson out in the second round of the fight after first catching him with a huge uppercut and then putting him away with a straight right hand. I had always heard that getting hit on your chin is a soft spot for being knocked out, but damn, he literally bounced when he hit the canvas. There wasn't even a light on in his frontal lobe for him to cushion his fall. It's probably going to take some time before Nate Robinson scrolls the internet because his lack of training really showed in this one, and he was brutally bullied for it. Coming in at number 4, Kanye West. The word disaster is really the only way to truly describe the Kanye West rally in South Carolina. With the year of our Lord 2020 shaved into the back of his head whilst wearing a flak jacket that read security, Kanye rambled about his campaign for about an hour. This was his very first presidential campaign rally, which was held, as I mentioned, in South Carolina under his political banner called the Birthday Party. Still funny to me. Then Kanye said that all Harriet Tubman did was free the slaves so that they could be slaves to other white people. It was a rally filled with controversies, but the biggest moment was when Kanye broke down into tears as he openly told the crowd that he nearly aborted his own daughter. This clearly was a sensitive subject for him and left the crowd absolutely baffled. Following this, Kanye would continue to make headlines as many political opponents accused him of trying to split the vote. Coming in at number 3, Jake Paul. This man's whole career has been made up of wild antics, controversy, and embarrassing others. Thankfully, we're going to be focusing in on Jake embarrassing himself rather than his friends for once.
Yo, you good?
Jake had done another video of him stacking a bunch of red cups before inevitably falling off the ladder, thus bringing down the pyramid of sadness. Well, he tried it again, but this time opted for the more comfortable fall by stacking toilet paper rolls. You know, in the middle of a pandemic, when there was a shortage of toilet paper rolls at the time. Although Jake adds to the embarrassment of this post by first having his dog jump across him before he topples onto them. God, this guy needs to go away. Coming in at number 2, Chris Evans. Captain America gave America a lot more than just America's. Back in September, Chris uploaded a screen-recorded video of him and his siblings playing the game Heads Up to his Instagram stories. However, what he didn't realize was that in that video there was a brief frame that had his camera roll in it. Someone then took a screenshot of this and immediately it went viral on Twitter. You see, within the images were some interesting memes featuring himself that he had saved, and then another was, well, there's no easy way to say this, Thor's hammer. I don't know. Someone must have contacted him quickly because he removed the video not too long after, but the photos and memes had already begun. However, instead of just tucking his tail between his legs, Chris tweeted this out. Now that I have your attention, vote November 3rd. Hey, at least he used the publicity. Coming in at number 1, Amy Schumer. Comedian Amy Schumer named her son Gene Attell, which she soon realized sounded too similar to the word genital. God, can you imagine the bullying this poor kid would have had to go through? Not only is your mom Amy Schumer, but you're also named after the family jewels? I mean, that's a rough hand to be dealt in life. Amy revealed on her podcast that her child's full name was Gene Attell Fisher, with the middle name coming from the great comedian Dave Attell. Although at 11 months old, Schumer opted to change the unfortunate homonym. In response to everyone calling her out for this mistake, Schumer said, "So do you guys know that Gene, our baby's name, is officially changed? It's now Gene David Fisher." She then went on to say, "It was Gene Attell Fisher, but we realized that we by accident named our son Genital." At least she was able to still work in an homage to her favorite comedian. It's not a complete loss.
At number 10, Whoopi Goldberg. I think we've all had one of those moments where we try to quietly let out a fart and it just comes out louder than expected. Trying to be sneaky about it doesn't doesn't always work out, and the same went for Whoopi Goldberg, or at least that's what she tried to convince us of. In December of 2014, Whoopi was on air of The View talking with singer Ashanti about flu shots. While in the middle of the conversation, a loud noise was heard which sounded like a long toot, which ended the conversation pretty abruptly.
Not get the shot. I feel like, why do I want to inject something into my skin that's gonna make—
Excuse me.
Yeah, whoa.
Whoopi stood up and excused herself for her gassiness, blaming it on a breakfast burrito that she had earlier. Why is it always the burritos that get blamed for these things? Burritos do not deserve that kind of bad rep. Anyway, the embarrassing incident was dubbed Fartgate, and the clip of the incident was being circulated around the internet, being viewed thousands of times. In the end though, Whoopi came out and said that it wasn't actually a fart and that it was a noise that just came out of nowhere, and she decided to be funny and play it off. Maybe that's true, or maybe she was just so embarrassed that she needed to blame it on something else. There wasn't a dog there, so she had to say, you know, anything. At number 9, 50 Cent. For a lot of celebrities, throwing the first pitch at a baseball game can be a momentous moment in their careers. Being one of the members of the Celebrity Baseball Club, you would be joined by singers, actors, and even some members of Sesame Street. So your first pitch may hold the attention of many. Unfortunately for rapper 50 Cent, his first pitch was one of his most embarrassing moments just because it was so bad.
And his first pitch was not great. Just a bit outside.
His first pitch has been dubbed one of the worst first pitches in history because of how terrible that throw was. It is said that his throw was about 20 feet off course and that the ball nearly hit a cameraman. He made a big deal about his physique and athleticism leading up to this and even had some great throws while practicing, but I guess you can say he dropped the ball on this one. Ha. I'm not funny. When asked what went wrong, his excuse was that he threw out his arm from, pleasuring himself too much, so do with that information what you will. If you guys are enjoying the video so far, please consider leaving a like on the video because it really helps to support the channel. At number 8, Billie Eilish. If you are a famous performing artist, I'm sure that one of the worst things that could happen to you on stage is forgetting your own song. Well, unfortunately, this is exactly what happened with Billie Eilish at her concert at Coachella. During her 2019 performance, Billie was singing her song All the Good Girls Go to Hell when she suddenly forgot the words to her song. In the moment, you could tell that Billie was a little flustered by her brain fart, but her loyal fans came to her aid as they sang her song and helped her get back on track. This was her first time performing at an event like this, so that kind of pressure was probably what caused her to slip up like that, but it must have still been quite embarrassing for her. At number 7, Adele. Are you guys familiar with that scene in Mean Girls where Katie breaks the spring fling queen crown into pieces and shares it with the other girls? Well, that's kind of what happened with Adele at the 2017 Grammy Awards. Adele ended up winning the award for Album of the Year for her album 25, beating out Beyonce's Lemonade album. Well, this win took Adele by surprise, and when she was giving her acceptance speech, she said that she didn't deserve the award, saying, quote, "I can't possibly accept this award, and I'm very humbled and very grateful and gracious, but my life is Beyonce, and the album to me, the Lemonade album, Beyonce was so monumental and so well thought out," end quote. Well, in an almost Mean Girls sort of way, Adele ended up snapping her Grammy in half on stage. In the embarrassing moment, people thought that Adele was breaking her award in half to symbolically share it with Beyonce, but it turns out the break was just an accidental embarrassing moment. Luckily, the Academy was able to replace it with a brand new one though. At number 6, Sofia Vergara. Wardrobe malfunctions are very unfortunate events for anyone, but imagine how embarrassing that must be for a celebrity. Having malfunctions while surrounded by cameras and prying eyes must take the embarrassment level up to 1,000,000 because you know that these pictures are going to live on the internet forever. Well, for Sofia Vergara at the 2012 Emmy Awards, this is kind of what happened to her. Just 20 minutes before winning an Emmy for the show Modern Family, Sofia had a wardrobe malfunction that caused her dress to rip, tearing a hole along the backside of her dress. The dress's zipper broke, exposing Sofia's bare butt, and she even had someone take a picture of it for her so she could see the damage. Being a good sport about it, she shared some of the images of the malfunction with her followers and kept them updated on her dress's status over the course of the night. She was able to just laugh it off since it wasn't a huge deal after getting it fixed, but it still must have been quite the embarrassing moment. At number 5, Katy Perry. Back in 2008, when Katy Perry was just blowing up, she was asked to perform at the MTV Latin America Awards. She was still riding the hype from her song I Kissed a Girl, so the award show figured that bringing her in would get them a lot of viewers. Well, let's just say that her appearance at the show was totally worth it. While performing her hit song, Katy had a giant cake brought out as a prop. Yes, a real cake with real icing. Anyways, during her performance, she decided to jump onto the cake, but not very gracefully though, more like a belly flop, covering herself in frosting. Well, as if that wasn't embarrassing enough, after she got off the cake, she started sliding around, unable to keep her balance. She ended up falling several times, failing to get up because the icing was so slippery, and even her guitarist was having a hard time keeping her up. This all happened live, so I'm sure it was super embarrassing for her. The award show, however, brought in some serious media attention after that. At number 4, Matthew McConaughey. One of Matthew McConaughey's more embarrassing moments has to come from his arrest in 1999, where he was detained while naked in his house playing bongos. It's a wild story. Basically, Matt here was just living his best life, playing bongos and getting high while on his couch naked when the police were called and arrested the actor for, quote, disturbing the peace. He described his night as being a jam session where he opened his windows while listening to African beats and smoking until he was interrupted by police officers barging into his house and handcuffing him on the ground. Matthew also recalled refusing to cover himself up while being detained. While being escorted from his house, he recalled his neighbors gathering and watching him from their houses. By the next morning, news of this incident broke around the world, and 2 days later, Bongo Naked t-shirts were being sold. This embarrassing moment ended up becoming merch, and his unfortunate jam session is now one of his most famous embarrassing moments. At number 3, Madonna. Remember in the Incredibles movie when Edna Mode said no capes? Well, Madonna should have listened to that. While performing at the Brit Awards in 2015, Madonna experienced some embarrassment with a side of whiplash after an unfortunate cape incident. It all happened when she was performing a bit of a stunt where she was supposed to untie the cape that she was wearing for her dancers to rip off dramatically, but things didn't really turn out that way. Instead, Madonna wasn't able to untie the cape since it was tied too tight, and so when the dancers went to yank off the cape, she was pulled down too. In a turn of events, Giorgio Armani released a statement about the incident since the cape in question was made by their company, saying that the cape originally had a hook, but Madonna insisted that she have strings instead, so the malfunction wasn't their fault. Luckily, the singer wasn't too badly injured and was able to carry on performing after the incident, but it was still an embarrassing moment. At number 2, Drake. Speaking of Madonna, she was the cause of one of Drake's embarrassing moments back in 2015. While performing at Coachella that year, Madonna planted a big old kiss on the rapper, and he did not take it well. Drake's disgusted reaction of the kiss went viral online, mainly Vine. Oh, how I miss Vine. Later on, Drake issued a statement about the kiss, saying that his reaction was taken out of context and that he wasn't grossed out because of the kiss itself, but because of the gross taste of her lipstick. It was still a funny moment, and it was a little embarrassing for Drake, but amazing meme fuel. At number 1, Justin Bieber. Earlier we talked about how Billie Eilish forgot the words to her own song, but here's another instance of a singer failing to perform their own song, but instead of it being because of nerves or pressure, it was just chalked up to language. 2017 was the year of Despacito. Everyone was obsessed with the song, that is until we got sick of hearing it on the radio every 10 minutes. Well, when asked to perform his hit song, Justin had a little trouble, and not only was it embarrassing, it was just plain sad. Instead of singing the real words to his song, he instead replaced the lyrics with Spanish words that he already knew. For example, he sang, quote, "I don't know the words, so I say Dorito. I don't know the words, so I say poquito, and I ate a burrito." I'm not very fluent in Spanish, but I'm pretty sure those aren't the words. You would think that he would at least know enough Spanish to get through his own song, but sadly no. Instead, he sort of made a fool of himself on stage and pretty much butchered his own song. Now, I want to know what your most embarrassing moment has been. I know we've all had some embarrassing things happen to us, so tell me one of your cringiest experiences down in the comments. But in the meantime, let's get to some comment shoutouts from our video of the top 10 celebrities who tried to warn us about Kanye West. Lunky says, "Love Chris Evans, didn't know who Kanye was before Kim K." I honestly didn't really know either. I kind of knew Kanye, not that much, but like, I feel like Kim made Kanye more than Kanye made Kanye. Is that, like, does anyone else think that? Or is it just me? Medic Lady says, Kanye as president, hard pass, or more like hell to the no. yeah, I think he can just stay in his own lane of music and weird things on Twitter. Don't need him in the White House. It's already a mess, we don't need more. Jerry Jackwagon says, I guess I'm not wrong about Mr. West. I never really liked him. I do feel for him a bit over his mental issues. I mean, yeah, as much as we love to hate on him, he also is struggling a lot with his mental health, and I think we just need to cut him a little bit of slack, but again, do not elect this man. Emily QS says, Kanye has enough on his plate with his mental health and his personal life. He needs to focus on that and be a leader. He does not ever need to run our country. Exactly, please, 2024, please don't vote for him. You don't need that kind of drama again. Guys, let him just make his music and rant on Twitter. That's it. Cool. Thanks so much for your comments and for sticking around to the end of the video. I've been your host, Bree Room, and until next time, stay safe, make good choices, and stay hydrated, guys. Bye.